Hello everyone, I'm back. This is Ltashap, by the way, and we're going to be doing Symphonic Rain. Yes, part 5. Now, I suppose we're going to meet a new character. Yeah. And I decided to go, to this place, because, I mean, look how beautiful that is. It's a piano. It's pretty. Alright, so this is where we're going. I stopped in my tracks in front of the Yes, I think I pronounced that the wrong way, but anyway, which served as a social gathering place for students. And I love being social, so I love going. I rarely ever came here, and I didn't have good memories of the times I did. That's sad. I convinced myself that times like these were ideal for making use of this place, and resolutely opened the door. Yes. Beautiful. Look at that. It's raining. It makes it really dramatic. And those trees. That's amazing. Inside, a number of students who were busily performing interrupted their performance and looked my way. Very awkward. Did they think an acquaintance of theirs had entered? I was sure the majority of students present this early were the diligent types who had their private lessons in the morning, like me. I had my lessons in the morning for different reasons, though. Hello. I lightly bowed my head. I recognized one of the students' faces from somewhere. Probably somewhere from the Fortell department. I was once again reminded of the non-existence of my social life at school. I decided to observe the developments in the room for a bit. As the student whom I recognized earlier glanced my way, he said some things to his friends. He said some things to his friends he was performing with, and they soon resumed playing. He probably realized that it was pointless to try and start a conversation with me. In that case, I should just start talking to them. But despite realizing that, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Just as their judgment was correct, my intuition should have been correct as well. As more and more students flowed in, the people performing and people conversing gradually began to spread out over the room. And I, belonging to neither group, was reduced to being a wallflower. Why the heck did I come to a place like this? Right, I came here in search of a partner. I was in this situation right now because I'd been forced to act like I had a place to search in front of boredom. I was painfully reminded just how alien I was here. I lost all motivation to search for someone. And right when I felt like going home, my eyes met those of a female student standing across from me. New character!
誰かと待ち合わせですか?
Yay! The girl spoke in a soft, hesitant tone of voice as she tentatively stepped toward me. No, I'm not. Bewildered at suddenly being talked to, I only barely managed to produce a reply. I was a bit taken in by her reserved, polite manner of speech.
そうなんですか? では、ここにはどうして?
At that point, I cut in. Sorry, but I was about to leave. Although I wouldn't have minded talking to her for a bit, this wasn't really a place I wanted to be for too long. Excuse me. With that, I went outside. The rain was rather heavy today. Because of that, I felt kind of down. It was only normal this morning. When did they'd start pouring so hard. Unlike the drizzle-like minuscule droplets that usually fell, these were large and could be seen with the naked eye. Maybe I'll wait for a bit. I gazed at the sky for a short while from a dry location in front of the entrance. As I was spacing out thinking of what to do next, my field of vision was suddenly tainted black.
よかったらどうですか？
Huh? Oh, for sharing now. Best picture ever. Great shot. I mean, it seemed I had walked a bit further outside with... Wait, what? It seemed I had walked a bit further outside without me noticing it. My bangs and shoulders were soaked. And, as if to make me notice, an umbrella was somehow opened up above me. Only when it stopped raining on me did I realize that I had been out in the rain. Both dots. Dumbfounded, I stood there just watching the umbrella. Of course, umbrellas were sold all over, and sometimes you could see people with raised umbrellas around. But since I arrived here, this might not have been the first time I had actually been under one myself. Wait, this might have been the first time, yes. Okay. I slowly came to realize that this umbrella was being held by someone and turned my head to look. I suspected it was toward it for a second, but that thought was quickly proven wrong. Wait, you are...
自己紹介してなかったですね。私の名前はファルシータ。ファルシータ・フォーセット。
I think I pronounced that wrong, but we'll deal with it later. Okay. Still holding the umbrella, she suddenly inclined her head without changing her expression. Is something the matter?
いえ、歩きながら話しましょうか。
Sure. Towns like this. Okay, I still didn't understand how I came to walk together with a strange person under one umbrella. Unlike the sound of the rain hitting the ground, the sound of it hitting the umbrella was surprisingly faint. I had introduced myself while we were walking. Since then, the two of us hadn't exchanged a word.
どうかしましたか？
No. Since I was holding the umbrella, the girl was currently empty-handed. I didn't do this to impress her or anything. Of course not. I knew myself well enough to know that I wasn't that kind of person. I merely figured it wouldn't be good etiquette to have someone else hold my umbrella.
こんな風に強引にお誘いしてしまって迷惑でした。
Flustered and slowed down her pace. Before she had a chance to come to a complete halt, I continued speaking, inciting her to pick up the pace again. No, that's not it. It's just that it's been really unusual for me to be walking under an umbrella.
そうですか？そういえばそうですね。この町の人はあまり傘を使わないみたいですから。
Yes, but thank you.
いえ、お気になさらずに。
But what were you doing there? I thought you had business in the Senecolo.
それは。
She hesitated for a moment as if it were difficult for her to say.
あなたが少し辛そうな顔をしていたから。
I did?
ええ。それで具合が悪いのかと思って外に出てみたら雨を見上げているのが見えたので。
up on the umbrella and continued. Thank you for your concern.
いえ
She lightly turned aside my expression of gratitude and simply bowed her head. But is that really all? Have we perhaps met before somewhere? I changed the subject to shake off my unusual embarrassment. I certainly had the feeling I had heard her name before. Then again, her gentle demeanor and refined features made her an all-around impressive-looking girl. If I had actually met her in class, I probably would have forgotten her. At the very least, it was out of the question that I had met her at a hotel class. Besides that, I couldn't think of any other occasion I could have possibly met her. I just had that feeling, that's all. The girl smiled as I almost apologetically added this. Then she began to laugh humbly.
どこかで会ったことあるかもしれませんよ。
A possibility?
確かじゃないですけど。
What do you mean?
クリスさんが学院の行事にきちんと出ているのならお会いしたことはあると思いますよ。
Events, huh? I've never actively participated in those, unless they were compulsory. I almost never attended.
そうなんですかそれでもどこかで見たことはあるかもしれませんね。私学院で生徒会長をしていたんですよ。今年の春までですけど。
Ah, is that so? Oh, now that you mention it, I had a feeling I'd heard her speak at some event before. I never felt like listening to those speeches, so I'd never been concerned with who the speaker was. Sorry.
どうして謝るんですか？
Sorry for not being a diligent student.
お気になさらずに。
I wonder how many times this made that she said those words with such grace of manner. I could tell it was second nature to her and that it came straight from her heart. A lot of children from aristocratic and upper-class families were enrolled in this institute. I suppose I shouldn't have expected anything less from a student council president. Thank you. At that moment, we arrived at the border between the main street and the old town. Ah, my house in the old town. Oh, I just realized that we walked all this way without ever asking which way you had to go.
あ、はい。どうかしました？
No, I just figured that your house might not be in the old town. Boston.
そんなことないですよ。私もこっちですから。
Oh, I see. She had this air around her that said she wasn't suited to live in a cheap apartment in the old town like I did.
どうかしましたか？
No, it's nothing. Sorry. It really wasn't something to ask someone you just met. I decided not to touch on it.
そうですか。あ、それとそんなに堅苦しい呼び方じゃなくてファルって呼んでください。親しい人はみんなそう呼びますから。
Well, I didn't particularly think that I could become close friends with her in the future, but I had no reason to turn down her request. On the other hand, I couldn't afford to be too laid back around her either. I had to watch my manners still.
ええ、
Good. Since our ways home were in the same direction, we were still walking under her umbrella.
クリスさんはフォルテール科なんですね。
Since we were students attending the same school, it was only natural for this topic to come up.
すごいです。才能があるんですね。
No, that's not true. I was just lucky. Nothing amazing about it.
本当にそう思ってるんですか？
Of course.
でも珍しいですね。
That was all she said. She didn't tell me whether she thought it was right or wrong to even think like that.
そういえばクリスさんって3年生ですよね。
Yes, that's right. How do you know?
ちょっと前ですけどコンサートホールで演奏していたでしょ。夏の定期演奏会です。
At this institute, regular concerts were held 3 times a year at the end of each period. But considering the large amount of students performing at these concerts, wouldn't it be a bit hard to watch them all? Unless... Paul, are you a fortellist as well? If that was true, then I think I've said some pretty inconsiderate things just now. But in that case, I also shouldn't have at least remembered her face. Wait, should have. Yes, should have. At least remember.
いえ、声楽家です。でもフォルテール科の演奏は全て聞きましたよ。
Attention partner. Yes, it's perfect. Except for one thing. Then, if she was my partner, then, the rumor thing that, Florida was talking about, drama. That's what visual novels do, right? It's all drama, right? Were you obligated to?
そういうわけではないんですが楽しかったですよ。
I was just glad when my part was over, personally.
でしょうね。
She sympathized with me as if she had come to understand me a little from our earlier conversation. I didn't feel too uncomfortable with that. But a vocalist, huh? A silly thought sprang to mind right then. But she seemed very popular, so I'd be surprised if she hadn't already decided on a partner.
あ、そうだ。クリスさんってもうパートナーは決まってますか？
Yeah, I think she's going to be our partner. Just when I decided it was better not to try to ask her, she casually asked me that question. No, not yet.
よかった。私実はまだパートナーが決まっていないんです。よかったら今度音を合わせてみませんか？
Yes, perfect. Dot, dot, dot.
いきなり決めるのは無理だと思いますから、とりあえず一緒に演奏してみる機会があればと思って。
I see. Although I felt it was a little too good to be true, I had no particular reason to refuse. We would find out soon enough if we were musically compatible. But are you sure that's all right?
いいんですかってこちらからお願いしているんですけど。
Well, if it is all right with you, I would love to. I was in the middle of searching for a partner myself after all.
やっぱりそうでしたか。あそこにいたのでそんな気がしてたんです。
Okay then. We ended up at a fork in the road. Not a literal fork, I am going this way.
あ、私はあっちですね。
She looked a bit disappointed.
あ、でも家の前まで送りましょうか。ここまで来て濡れるのもちょっと悔しいですよね。
Actually, my house is very close. No worries.
そうですか？
Yes. regarding what we talked about, when do you want to do it?
今週はちょっと忙しいので、できれば来週からがいいんですが。
Anytime next week?
いえ、ごめんなさい。火曜と木曜だけなんです。あとは日曜日が空いてますけど。
Tuesday or Thursday is fine. I really don't want to come to school on a day off.
クリスさんならそう言うと思ってました。レッスンはどの時間帯にとってます？
Second period. So I will be free after the morning.
私は1次元目なのでお昼からでいいでしょうか。
Is after lunch fine too?
もちろんです。ならそのくらいの時間に練習室を取っておきますね。場所は
She inclined her head in thought.
わかりやすく練習室のある廊下の一番奥でどうです？
Sure. But I'm not sure yet if it'll be Tuesday or Thursday.
どちらにしろ練習室にはいますよ。いつもそこで練習してますので。
Impressive.
いいえ、私よりもっと練習している人はたくさんいますよ。
Is she blushing? Anyway, even still. But that's just like you, I suppose.
らしいですか？
I mean, awkward. I guess it wasn't something you would normally say to someone you just met. I just had that feeling.
そうですか。
She simply smiled. Well then, see you on Tuesday or Thursday.
はい。それではまた。
Well, that went well. She gave a graceful bow and turned to leave. Remembering something, I quickly called out to her. Oh,
はい。どうかしましたか？
thank you very much for sharing your umbrella with me.
いえ、お気になさらずに。
She seems nice. After parting with Fall, I hurried along the road home, which normally took around 3 minutes walking, and arrived at my apartment. My hair and clothes weren't that wet today.
あ、おかえり。
Well, hello there. Since I was out of breath, I took a few breaths before replying. I'm home.
走ってきたの？
For a bit.
へえ、なんかあったの？
Oh yes, of course. I suppose. I decided to explain it to her later and stepped into the room.
あれ？今日はタオルで拭かなくてもいいの？
I'm not that wet. I guess I'll have to explain that as well.
ねえねえ、何があったの？
I went over the events of today with the highly interested fairy, as I always did. Oh, yeah. After my usual interaction with morning, the day came to an end. That was a good day. I liked that day. I finished Miss Cordell's private lesson as well as lunch. Now we get to talk to Torta, right? About this whole thing? Yeah. Normally, this would about end my day, but...
今日はこれからどうするの？
Yes, I called it. It seemed this wouldn't be the case for the coming days. I still haven't found a partner. Okay then. So, I'll just randomly search somewhere.
そっか。じゃあ頑張ってね。
So Now we're keeping secrets. Okay, that's fine. It'll probably really affect the story later. So I wonder if we would have met our new character if we went somewhere else. Really, I'm kind of curious now. Anyway. Yeah, thanks. Well then, what shall I do? Okay then. Okay, so now there's 3 options. Wait, is it Tuesday? Or, wait. Okay. I guess we don't have to meet that girl there. So, let's see, where should we go then? Practice room, the old school building, or the lesson room? Well, I think we just, took our lesson, didn't we? And this is the practice room where we meet that girl, probably. And this is just here. I say we go over here. Well, I mean, even if it is Tuesday, we can just meet that girl on Thursday. Alright, here, this is where we're going. No questions asked. Unless this is the door here. Oh, or not. Well, there's a blackboard. It is old. I went around peeking into some of the empty lecture and practice rooms randomly. I recognized some of the faces of the students who were coming and going. But I quickly realized that even though I knew people by face, it would not get me anywhere. My eyes would meet with some students. I would bow my head and then simply continue walking. Walking through the rain, I pondered whether I should give it up for today. I obviously disliked being soaked by the rain. Even so, deep inside I could never come to hate the cool sensation of raindrops on my skin, nor the distorted scenery caused by rainwater seeping into my eyes. Okay, guys, I just want to tell you how much I love this artwork. It's so awesome. Okay. I didn't want to leave school without accomplishing anything, so I'd keep walking before I knew it. I found myself in a place not too familiar to me. A far cry from the tumult, we'll just call that, inside the newer school building. This area was shrouded in silence. So we're gonna cry. Away from the tree-lined road that connected the school building with the front gate, a narrow pathway densely grown trees leading to the old school building. The Music Institute, which has turned out many a talented musician since ancient times, gradually earned its reputation. The number of students grew proportionally, and it came time to expand facilities when the original building had become too confined. As a result, the current 2 newer school buildings plus the concert hall were constructed, thanks to the support from the government and the nobility. The government wanted to share this unique and magnificent culture with the world. I figured the nobility were in it so that they could boast about being fundamental to such a culture. Nowadays, there were a lot of aristocratic children at this school. The original building was never demolished, but left standing for the students to use. Even so, the only activity this building saw were periodic readings and piano tunings by students as part of their practice routines, so it could hardly be considered actively used. I think it was when Azino, gosh, I'm sorry, guys, hold on. and I came here for fun, soon after we had come to the school. He had told me, so that's actually the guy's name. Okay. He had told me then that students of noble origin in particular would not set foot in here. I never had a reason to come here after that, so I didn't know much else about this place. I decided to take a look around, out of a sort of nostalgic curiosity perhaps. Despite being free for use, students normally didn't come here. It was probably limited to the occasional poet, or someone who just wanted to spend some time in quiet. The sound of a voice mingling with the rain faintly reached my ears. The voice had to belong to a student. Oh, new character! It was a common occurrence, really, but with my sudden spark of interest in the building, combined with the fact that I was in dire need of a vocalist partner, I couldn't help but sneak a peek. So now we're spying on someone. Got it. The building was deathly silent. Sorry. Save for the voice, so it was easy to trace its source. Sorry, I keep listening to her singing. The door was ajar, a ray of light, accompanied by a song spilled out from it. Wait, yeah, The girl was singing. Indulging herself in the sound of her voice overflowing the classroom unbeknownst to anyone. Let's just listen to her sing for a I wasn't really an expert on vocal music, but there was something very captivating about her voice. I couldn't tear my eyes off this girl singing all by herself, without relying on any sort of musical accompaniment. My fingers started moving on their own, as though playing the keyboard, as I just imagined the sound of her voice mingling with my foretell in my head. By the time she had finished singing, most of the phrases were in my head, and I felt I could play it whenever I wanted. Although the piece itself wasn't very complicated, the simple melody was beautiful, and accentuated the girl's voice very well. I figured the tune was composed with lyrics in mind, so a foretell could accompany it in the background. Oh no, the singing ended! Sorry. It's so beautiful. Everything about this game is beautiful. The artwork, the music, everything. Even the name. I reclined against the door, watching the girl as I let my train of thoughts run. She was about to start singing again when she suddenly turned around and looked my way. I'm sorry. I took it she was startled by her sudden visitor, as her body stiffened and she stood as if I nailed her to the ground. Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's just that the door was open. Sorry. Despite my apology for peeping in on her, it didn't seem like I was going to get any reaction. I did feel it was inappropriate to sneak a peek at her in such a way. But considering she was singing in a place people could pass by at any time, coupled with the fact that the door was ajar, I felt I wasn't entirely at fault. Is something the matter? The girl looked a bit frightened. To top it off, she kept giving me these accusatory glances. I began feeling like I'd done something terrible to her. Moving away from the door, I had intended to leave her be. Then suddenly, as if she'd been waiting for me to move, the girl grabbed her bag and attempted to escape through the gap.
失礼します。
No, I feel really bad, even though we found a new character. And, She had tried to run off with her eyes cast downward to avoid eye contact, but ending up colliding with me. Textbooks and scores had fallen out of her open bag and were scattered about. In the middle of that scene sat the girl, fallen smack on her behind. Are you okay? I was sort of afraid she might have hurt herself. It wasn't really my fault, but I didn't have to share the cause. Want me to lend you a hand? However, the girl was just silently glancing upward at me. Tears even began welling up in her eyes. This is so terrible! I heard you singing by chance, so I wanted to see for a bit, I said in a gentle tone of voice, then picked up the scores scattered on the floor and held them out to her. If I was bothering you, I'll be out of here in a minute. Here you go. The girl just stared at the scores and made no attempt to take them from me. Your scores? I considered leaving them at her feet and just walking away. But I felt that would be a little bit too cold-hearted. I'll leave them here, okay? I kind of wanted to ask her about the song, but with her acting like this, I probably wouldn't get a proper answer. It was probably best to leave her be after all.
ありがとうございます。
At long last, the girl nervously accepted the scores, and I was still holding out to her. Accepted the scores I was still holding out to her with her small white hand. What's this? Okay, I should probably save. So, I guess we're getting to like a good point here. Wait. Oh, whoops. That was me, wasn't it? Not. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. We met characters. They were trembling slightly. Please don't worry about it. It was my fault for entering unbeknownst. Or unannounced. Was it really just surprise that caused her to act like this? There might have been an additional cause. Well, with that, I think we should go. Yes. I shall keep you waiting to see what happens in this conversation. So, I'll see you guys later. So, yeah. Bye! Wait for this timer on my recording to go away, so,
言葉もなく息を殺し私はいた